The reservation at Coastal Prime was for 7:30, and I arrived 15 minutes early out of habit. My mother's 55th birthday celebration was being hosted by my brother David, who'd made sure everyone knew he was paying for dinner at the most exclusive steakhouse in the city. I walked into the restaurant in my simple black dress, the one I wore to both work meetings and family dinners because it was versatile and comfortable. The hostess greeted me warmly. "Natalie, good to see you again. Your usual table." "Actually, I'm meeting my family tonight. Reservation under Harrison." "Oh, of course. They're already seated. Follow me." I could see my family at the large round table in the center of the dining room. Prime location naturally. My brother David held court in his expensive suit, his wife Christine beside him in designer everything. My parents sat to his right and my younger sister Emily and her husband completed the circle. One empty chair remained. For me as always. "Natalie," my mother called out, waving. "We were wondering if you'd make it. David said you might have to work late." "I made it work," I said, hugging her. "Happy birthday, Mom." "Thank you, sweetheart." Sit. David just ordered a bottle of Dom Perignon. "Isn't that wonderful?" I took my seat as the server arrived with the champagne. David made a show of examining the label and approving it with a nod that suggested he knew anything about wine beyond the price tag. "So, Natalie," Christine said once everyone had glasses, "how's the restaurant business treating you? Still working at that Italian place? Still serving tables?" David mocked, his voice carrying across the table. "I keep telling you, sis, it's time to use that business degree Mom and Dad paid for. Such a waste of a college degree waiting tables at 30. Everyone laughed. Christine hid her smile behind her champagne glass. Emily smirked. Even my parents smiled indulgently as if David had said something clever rather than cruel. "I'm not wasting anything," I said calmly. "Come on, Nat," David continued, warming to his theme. "You graduated from Northwestern with a business degree. You could be doing something with your life. Instead you're carrying plates and taking orders. It's embarrassing." "Embarrassing for whom?" I asked. "For the family," Christine said. "When people ask what David's sister does, what's he supposed to say? Oh, she's a waitress at an Italian restaurant? It doesn't exactly match the Harrison family image." The Harrison family image. My father was a successful accountant. My mother had been a real estate agent before retiring. David worked in sales at a tech company. We were comfortable, upper middle class, but we weren't the Rockefellers. The idea that we had an image to maintain was absurd. "I think what they're trying to say," my father interjected, "is that you have so much potential, Natalie. We hate to see you not using it." "I'm using it," I said. "Carrying plates?" David scoffed. "That's not using a business degree. That's giving up." "I didn't give up. I chose a different path." "A different path to poverty," Emily added. "I mean, what do waitresses make? Like $30,000 a year with tips? That's nothing." "It's honest work," I said. "It's beneath you," my mother said gently. "Sweetheart, we love you but we're worried. You're 30 years old. You should be building a career, saving for retirement, thinking about your future. Not living paycheck to paycheck working in a restaurant." David leaned back in his chair, swirling his champagne. "I actually have some good news that might inspire you, Nat. I'm up for a major promotion at work. VP of Sales. 6-figure salary, company car, stock options, the whole package." "Congratulations," I said neutrally. "Thanks. The thing is, they're looking at my complete profile. Leadership potential, professional network, family stability, all of it matters at this level. And honestly," he paused, looking uncomfortable, "having a sister who waits tables doesn't exactly help my image as an executive." I set down my water glass. "Are you asking me to quit my job so you can get promoted?" "I'm asking you to consider doing something more respectable," he said. "Get a real job. Maybe I could even help you, get you an entry-level position at my company. Receptionist or administrative assistant. Something professional." "How generous," I said. The server arrived to take our dinner orders. A young woman named Maria who'd worked at Coastal Prime for 2 years. She knew me well. "Good evening, Ms. Andrews," she said warmly. "Your usual, or would you like to see the menu?" "I'll have the filet medium rare with the roasted vegetables." "Excellent choice." And Ms. Andrews, I wanted to thank you again for the scholarship. My daughter starts at culinary school next month because of you. She moved on to take other orders, leaving a confused silence at the table. Scholarship? My mother asked. Before I could answer, a man in a suit approached our table. Distinguished, mid-50s, commanding presence. I recognized him immediately. Richard Chin, CEO of Tech Venture Solutions, one of the companies in my portfolio. Excuse me, he said, addressing the table. I'm looking for Ms. Andrews. I was told she was dining here tonight. I'm Natalie Andrews, I said. His face lit up. Ms. Andrews. Richard Chin, CEO of Tech Venture Solutions. Your venture capital firm is reviewing our expansion proposal. I know we have a meeting scheduled for Monday, but when I saw you here I had to say hello. I'm David Harrison's supervisor, actually. Small world. The table went silent. I smiled at my brother's boss. Mr. Chin, lovely to see you. Yes, I've reviewed your Series B proposal. Very promising. We'll discuss specifics Monday. Wonderful, wonderful. I'm very excited about the possibility of Andrews Capital backing our expansion. Your reputation in the venture capital world is remarkable. Your portfolio companies have a 93% success rate. That's unheard of. I'm selective about my investments, I said. I only back companies with solid fundamentals and ethical leadership. Which is exactly why we want you as our lead investor, he said. Then he glanced at David, who'd gone pale. Harrison, I didn't realize your sister was the Natalie Andrews. The Natalie Andrews who owns Andrews Capital Partners. David who? I asked, keeping my voice innocent. Oh, you mean my brother David? Yes, small world indeed. Richard Chen's expression shifted slightly, professional mask slipping. Indeed. Well, I'll let you enjoy your family dinner. Ms. Andrews, I'll see you Monday at 9. I'll be there. He left and I could feel every eye at the table boring into me. Venture capital firm? My father said faintly. I pulled out my phone and opened my company's website, turning it to face the table. Andrews Capital Partners. Founded 2019. $850 million under management. Portfolio of 47 companies across technology, healthcare and consumer goods sectors. And my photo on the About page. Natalie Andrews, founder and managing partner. That's you, Emily whispered. That's me. You own a venture capital firm? My mother's voice came out strangled. I founded it 6 years ago, I said. Started with $5 million I'd raised from angel investors based on my track record of successful small business investments. Grew it to $850 million in assets under management. We employ 23 people and maintain offices in 3 cities. But you work at a restaurant, Christine said desperately, as if saying it would make it true. I own 6 restaurants, I corrected. The Italian place you're referring to is Bellana. I bought it 8 years ago when it was failing, turned it around and used the profits to buy 5 more restaurants across the city. Total annual revenue from my restaurant portfolio is about $12 million. David made a choking sound. The restaurants were my first investments, I continued. I started working as a server at Bellinate when I was 22, fresh out of Northwestern. The owner was struggling, on the verge of bankruptcy. I learned the business inside and out, worked every position from host to line cook to manager. When he was ready to close, I offered to buy it. With what money? My father asked. I'd saved $50,000 from serving tables and living frugally, I said. I took out a small business loan for another $100,000. I restructured operations, renegotiated vendor contracts, revamped the menu and hired better staff. Within a year it was profitable. Within 2 years I'd paid off the loan and had enough profit to buy a second location. 6 restaurants, my mother repeated numbly. 5 Italian, 1 seafood place. I still work the floor sometimes. It keeps me connected to the business and the staff. That's why Maria knows me. I own Coastal Prime. The silence that followed was deafening. This restaurant, David said slowly. You own this restaurant. I bought it 3 years ago. The previous owner wanted to retire and it fit perfectly into my portfolio. We do about $8 million in annual revenue here. Christine set down her champagne glass with shaking hands. When you said you worked at a restaurant. I was being truthful, I said. I do work at my restaurants. I also own them. You assumed I was a server because that fit your narrative of my life being a disappointment. Emily found her voice. The scholarship Maria mentioned? I fund 4 culinary scholarships annually through my restaurants, I said. Total value about $120,000 a year. I believe in supporting people who want to work in the industry. My father leaned forward. Andrew's Capital Partners. You invest in other companies. 47 companies currently. Tech startups, healthcare innovations, consumer products. I provide Series A and Series B funding, typically $5 million to $20 million per company. My success rate is 93% because I do extensive due diligence and I only back founders with integrity and solid business models. Like David's company, my mother said. Tech Venture Solutions. They're seeking $15 million in Series B funding, I confirmed. I'm the lead investor they're courting. The proposal is solid. Good technology, strong market position, experienced leadership. Richard Chin is an excellent CEO. David's face had gone from pale to gray. You're deciding whether to invest in my company? Not just your company. I'm deciding whether to be the primary investor in your company's expansion. My decision will determine whether they can move forward with their growth plans or have to seek other funding sources, which would delay everything by 6 months minimum. And you knew this? David's voice came out hoarse. You knew you were reviewing my company's proposal? I saw your name in the employee roster when I did my due diligence 3 weeks ago, I said. I was curious to see if you'd mention it at family dinner. You didn't. You were too busy mocking my career choices. His promotion vanished overnight in his mind. I could see it in his eyes. The realization that the sister he'd just publicly humiliated held the future of his company in her hands. Natalie, he started, I didn't know. You didn't know because you never asked, I interrupted. 6 years of family dinners where I tried to talk about my work. 6 years of being dismissed, mocked, and pitted. You were so convinced I was a failure that you never bothered to ask questions. We thought we were helping, my mother said weakly. Encouraging you to do more with your life. I have done more with my life, I said. I built a restaurant empire from a single failing business. I founded a venture capital firm that manages nearly $1 billion. I employ hundreds of people across my various businesses. I fund scholarships, mentor young entrepreneurs, and serve on 3 nonprofit boards. What exactly do you think I should be doing instead? The table sat in stunned silence. The VP promotion, David said quietly. Richard mentioned it was contingent on demonstrating leadership and professional network. If you tell him about tonight. I won't tell him anything, I said. What happens between us is family business. What happens with Tech Ventures investment is separate. I make business decisions based on business factors, not personal ones. Relief flooded his face. However, I continued, I will be watching how you conduct yourself professionally over the next few months. Richard mentioned you're up for VP of Sales. That's a leadership position. Leaders need integrity, humility, and the ability to recognize value in unexpected places. If you can't see the value in your own sister, how will you recognize opportunities in the market? That's not fair, Christine protested. Fair. I looked at her. What about tonight was fair? Mocking my career, calling my education wasted, suggesting I'm an embarrassment to the family, all while sitting in a restaurant I own, drinking champagne I'm essentially paying for since I own the venue. She looked down at her plate. Here's what's going to happen, I said. I'm going to make my investment decision about Tech Venture based purely on the merits of their proposal and Richard's leadership. Not on David's behavior. That wouldn't be professional. David nodded, looking grateful. But, I continued, I'm also done with these family dinners where I'm treated as a charity case. I'm successful, financially stable, and happy. If you can't respect that, then we don't need to do these gatherings anymore. Natalie, no, my mother said, tears forming. We love you. We're proud of you. We just didn't know. You didn't know because you didn't care to know, I said. There's a difference. I tried to tell you. You didn't listen. My father cleared his throat. Can we start over? Learn about your businesses, your work, your life. That depends, I said. Can you stop assuming that success looks like David's job and anything else is failure? Can you value the work I do even though it doesn't fit your image of what I should be doing? They nodded, all of them looking chastened. Then yes, I said. We can start over. But it starts with respect. Not pity, not concern, not attempts to fix me. Respect. The server arrived with our meals. As she set down my fillet, she smiled. Ms. Andrews, the kitchen wanted you to know they're trying out the new seasonal menu you approved. Chef asks if you'd like to try a few dishes. Tell him yes, thank you. After she left, David spoke. The investment decision. When will you know? Monday after the meeting, I said. Richard's proposal is strong. The technology is solid. The market opportunity is real. If he can demonstrate that his leadership team, including his VP of sales, has the judgment and character to execute the plan, I'll likely approve the investment. And my promotion? That's between you and Richard, I said. But David, if you get it, remember this moment. Remember that success comes in many forms. Remember that the people serving you might own the restaurant. Remember that assumptions make you blind to opportunity. I will, he said quietly. We ate in relative silence, the earlier celebration mood thoroughly destroyed. But by dessert my mother started asking real questions. About my restaurants, my investment strategy, my portfolio companies. And for the first time in 6 years I talked about my work and people actually listened. Monday morning I met with Richard Chin and the tech venture team. Their presentation was excellent. Their numbers solid. Their expansion plan well researched. I'm approving the investment, I said. Andrews Capital will lead the Series B round with $15 million. I have 2 conditions. Of course, Richard said. What are they? First, I want a board seat. Standard for lead investors. Absolutely. Second, I want quarterly reviews of your leadership team's performance. Not just financial metrics, cultural metrics, employee satisfaction, ethical decision-making, leadership development. I invest in companies that build sustainable cultures. Done, Richard agreed. In fact, that aligns perfectly with our values. After the meeting, Richard walked me out. Your brother never mentioned you were the Natalie Andrews. He didn't know, I said. We had a misunderstanding about what I do for a living. Well, for what it's worth, he's a good salesperson. Aggressive, ambitious. But he needs work on humility and judgment. That's why I'm hesitating on the VP promotion. Wise decision, I said. Give him time to develop those qualities. If he can learn humility, he'll be a better leader for it. Agreed. Thank you, Ms. Andrews. Welcome to the tech venture family. I shook his hand and left, heading back to Bellinate for the lunch shift. Because I still loved working the floor, talking to customers, being part of the restaurant that had started everything. And because success isn't about titles or image. It's about building something real, treating people well, and staying true to yourself. Even when your family thinks you're just a waitress.